There's so many common grounds that we've got, and I get butterflies with you, and I don't get that with every other guy. With work, there is opportunities to go on the ground, so 9 to 5 work could be in the picture if we wanted to have a family.
Am I the only one who's underwhelmed by this season? I know, I'm sounding like a broken record, because at the end of the day, the couples don't make sense at all. They really don't make sense. It doesn't make sense why these are the people that we have. I don't know this because they didn't have that much time to cast or what happened, because outside of Sorover and Carl, I don't think there's any other couple that stands out for me. Maybe if Katisha had been more serious about Demola, because Demola seems very serious about looking for his person, maybe, but everybody else, I don't know. And then the audacity for this woman to beg for a ring, that's more or less what Ashley did. She more or less begged for a ring because she was willing to sacrifice her career in order to get this man to propose to her. And it's like, girl, why? What are you going to have to give up next? Because you've given up, being a cabin crew. What are you going to give up next? Or what is he going to complain about next? I can't wait to see that hot mess. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Loveis Blind UK, Season 2, Episode 2. We pick up from Billy and Ashley having this conversation where Billy is saying that he's had previous relationships with people that were cabin crew, and because of that he knows the struggles that they'll face, in the sense that there'll be issues with their schedules aligning, and so he doesn't feel this might be the right connection for him, even though this is his strongest connection. And personally, my thing is, you knew from day one that she was cabin crew. You kept going. Why did you keep going? What did you expect to change? Because this was always going to be her job. And looking at Ashley, I'm questioning, why are you the one making all the sacrifices? Today you're sacrificing your career. What will you sacrifice tomorrow for this man to be happy? Why force yourself onto someone who cannot accept you for who you are? Because it was giving thirsty when she said, there's always ground jobs that I could do. I could do a 9 to 5, so that's on the cards. And it's like, why are you the one making the changes? Is it because he's in the army and he can't just leave the army on the drop of a hat? Why should you be the one who's sort of begging him to stay with you? Because she's saying, if we do decide to start a family, I could change to a ground job, which would allow me to work 9 to 5. And it's like, I really don't get it. I think she's in love with the idea of the man that he is, and he is showing her who he is, but she's refusing to believe it. I don't know what it will take, because you have her say, I've got strong feelings for him, and it's like, I don't know. I don't see this working unless they can put in the work, because they spoke about the fact, she then spoke about, I have a lot in common with you, I can't wait to visit you at your mess, and it's like, she's in love with the idea of dating someone who's in the army. I don't think she's in love with this man, and I don't think she's listening to what this man is telling her, regardless of him sort of voicing out his concerns. We then have, Carl speaking to the guys about Sorover, saying that she's his strongest connection, but his fear is still the cultural differences, the backgrounds, in the sense that he is Pakistani, she's Indian, and he's dated people before, and relationships have broken up because of that. Anyway, he then has a pod date with Sorover. Sorover reveals that her family is very accepting. There are mixed marriages in her family, which I assume implies that, her family has sort of married from other backgrounds outside of just Indian people. And so I don't know. I like them as a couple. They seem very peaceful. I think they're one of the only couples, if not one of the main couples, that appear to have actually decent connection. They both like the fact that they make each other happy, and they make each other seen, and they feel like a priority to the other person. And so I don't know how that's going to play out when their families meet, because even though with Carl he's mixed, I don't know whether his other half will accept the Indian side of Sorover, so it's something that is going to be a matter of waiting to see. We then meet Javen. He's from London. He's 28 years old. He's a health and fitness coach. He says he's very competitive. He has a date with Katisha. Katisha is 31. She's a nanny and a makeup artist. This reminded me of that girl last season, season 1, who dated that man, and then at the last minute he said no. So hopefully he's very serious, because he's saying he's very competitive, and so it's like, okay. He asks Katisha, why are you here? She says she's tired of online dating, and so she's been heartbroken a couple of times. She's asked about her most recent traumatic relationship, and she said he was unfaithful. And she has a type that she's gone for that don't treat her very well. So she's hoping to change that and hoping that Javen will be it. I don't think so. Javen lost me at I'm very competitive, because then my question becomes, is he going after, Katisha because he likes her, or is he going after Katisha because he wants to be the one that wins her? This is something she needs to be aware of. And sadly, I don't think she listened out for that. So you have Katisha go on a date with Demola, who's 31. He's of Nigerian descent. He used to live with his grandma who passed away. He works as a financial analyst, and you had Katisha asking him to speak up because she said you speak very quietly. And he came across very cute, in my opinion. I think he's the better option out of the two because he's 31, she's 31. It makes more sense. He said, he was asked, do you date? He said, no, I don't date a lot, because I date with intention. I'm looking for my soulmate, someone to start a family with. And this was music to Katisha's ears because this is exactly what she's looking for in a partner. And she said, he comes across as very nice and very goofy. So I can see it. I really can see it. I hope she's right about saying, I want to try something different. Hopefully his Nigerian background doesn't sort of become a hindrance. But she seems intrigued. And so I can't wait to see where that goes, whether they will continue to pursue it or whether that's the end of the road. You then have the guys in the pods having a conversation, and Demola is sort of speaking to another guy and sort of being asked, what's your strongest connection? He says Katisha, and sadly for him, Javen is there, and Javen is like, oh, may the best man win. And it's like, this is not a competition. This is not a competition. It's either you like someone or you don't. Don't be a jackass and just do it just because you want to be on TV. So I hope this girl really pays attention. Billy and Ashley then go on a date where she brings cowboy hats. She brings him, it sounded like a thimble or something, and they were dancing country line dance. I don't know. I really want to be happy for them, and I think they are the couples that are, or they are the couple that is being put at the forefront. But for me, I don't think they should be the poster child. I think they are too messy and too toxic. There's going to be a lot of problems with them, especially seeing as this man wants to be the one who gets his way. She said she's in love with him. He said, I'd given up on hope, but he thinks he's found his person because the feelings are mutual. I don't know. I want to believe that they're serious about one another, but it will just be a matter of time. So you have Kieran in the guys' lounge having a conversation with Demola about his connections, and he's saying, I'm doing what's in my best interest. I've got 2 connections and I just need to do what works out best for me. And it's like, personally, I don't think that Sophie is it for him, because Sophie, I don't even understand why she entered the experiment. She knows she needs to open up and she's refusing to open up, so she might as well have gone to Marriage at First Sight. Even at Marriage at First Sight, she would have struggled. He goes on a date with Megan, and he's sort of asking, what is your biggest insecurity? Meg talks about her job. She says she's worried that some people might not see it as accomplished or as serious as other jobs. I get that. I understand it, because there are some careers that when people tell you, you're like, oh, but why? But somebody has to do it at the end of the day. With Kieran on his part, he says, his biggest concern is his biggest fear is getting divorced, because his parents divorced when he was young. So the idea that he could marry someone and they could be divorced is something that he's worried about. He spoke about his mom in a not very flattering way. I wish he hadn't said that, because he said his mom was one of those people that was never meant to be a mom, and they struggled in their relationship, but it has taken time and they've sort of mended that bridge. And it's like, this is something you could have said away from the cameras. I don't think your mom will appreciate you saying this unless you told her or you gave her a heads up. They seemed very emotional in their connection. Meg was crying. She said she's got 0 contact with her dad because her dad left when she was born, but she told the story about her dad walking into a pub where she worked, and she just had a feeling that was him, and he left a card, but still it seems there's no contact. And so she was talking about her mum as well, saying that her mum really struggled in relationships, and so that sort of created a template for how her dating life has gone. And this is really sad, because no one would want that for their child. So the idea that she's struggling with this because this is something she experienced is really sad. So after that connection or that date, you then had Kieran go on a date with Sophie. And Sophie was asked, what do you want to accomplish in life? And she said some of it is very superficial. She wants to buy a couple of designer bags and she wants to travel. And it's like, this girl is not serious. She really is not. If she's that unbearable, in the pods, you can only imagine what she's going to give Arena vibes. That girl who was terrible to Zach, that's the impression that I'm getting from her, because it doesn't make sense why she would talk about her bag, especially seeing as this man was in a date where the girl was crying and opening up her heart about her family. I don't get why he continues to humor her. He did say he wants to get to know her, he wants to dig deeper. She says she's trying, but I don't think she is. So you had Kieran ask, Sophie, what does success look like to you? And she said, when I look at my life, I'm already successful. It's just relationships that I'm not successful, but everything else I am successful. And it's like, nobody's ever satisfied with where they are in life. So the idea that she's thinking that this is it for her, I don't get it. She did speak about wanting to open up, but she tends to self-sabotage. I don't see this working. Even if there is a proposal, I really don't see Sophie and Kieran working long term because of the way that she is. Unless she opens up, and I don't think she's ever going to open up. He's always going to meet her representative. When they move away from the pods and they go into the real world, she's just going to be as unbearable. So I good luck to him. You then had Billy and Ashley go on a date. They are the first couple to propose and accept a proposal. I think, this is what I think. I think Billy knows that he can get whatever he wants from Ashley because Ashley is that desperate for a relationship with him because she was willing to sacrifice her career. And the fact that she was the first one to sort of say, I love you and I'm grateful for you. This is why I feel he was comfortable in proposing because he knew that whatever he wanted, he was going to get from her. Do I see them working? I don't know. There will need to be a lot of work done on both sides. But it looks like with this relationship, it's no different from Helena if you watched Love Island, in the sense that this woman is going to continue to compromise and compromise and compromise to try and get what she wants. And hopefully this man will eventually change, but I don't see him changing. Anu and Patrick had a date. He was saying, Anu pushes me to be better. I really don't quite get that connection. I really don't. It seems like it's two people that just want to be on TV. You had them talk about premarital sex. He said, he doesn't believe in it. He's open to exploring. But then if she wants to wait, then he's happy to wait. And it's like he's just telling her what she wants to hear. In the guys' lounge, he was saying, no one has made him feel the way Anu does. And it's like, I think the thing of spirituality and spleen is all they're aligning on. I don't think there's anything else that's sort of bonding them as a couple. So I can't wait to see what happens next. Surprise, surprise, we have a second proposal. That's a bit fast. In episode 2 already. I don't know whether it's because the couples are drama-free or whether it's just because, there aren't that many participants that have great connections. So Carl and Sorover have another date and they have a conversation about the main thing for them has been their cultural differences and what their families will think once they leave the pods, obviously, and if they choose to get married. So you have Carl propose, to Sorover. Am I surprised? No. I think of all the couples that we've seen thus far, they've been the most smooth sailing, and the only issue they've had is outside of their own control, and them as a couple are doing very well. On Loveis Blind, you always get the one couple that get the very good edit, or the one couple that is very smooth sailing, and so they don't have as much drama. And it seems Sorover and Carl are that in this situation. Sorover accepts the proposal. She says, she's prioritizing herself. She's not going to think of what anybody else will say or do or want from her. She's going to put herself first. I think he's a great guy. He comes across as a great guy, so it makes sense that they would want to get married, and they can always have conversations with their families, and hopefully with time the families can accept them for who they are instead of their cultural background. We then meet a new guy, Jedi. He's 31. He's a configuration manager. That wouldn't come out. He is of Lebanese descent. He's half Lebanese, I think he said. He's got a brother who's got two daughters, and he spends most of his Sundays at his mom's. He said, he loves Sunday dinner, and so he can't wait to take over his own person. He goes on a date with Bradaya. She is 32. She is of I think she said Albanian descent. She's very cute. I really liked her. She's a sales and marketing director. And they had this conversation about family and what they want and how their cultural backgrounds will sort of mesh together. Because this is a big thing for a lot of people, that, you know, there are certain cultures that don't sort of mix. But it seemed they had a lot in common. Their date was very smooth sailing. We had talks about marriage, and it's like, oh, these people are going at 120 miles an hour, aren't they? So I can't wait to see what becomes of them. I can see them being another couple that sort of agree to get married, but hey, we'll wait and see. We then have Sophie in the pods having a conversation with the girls because she is worried about her connection with Kieran, because Kieran also has a connection with Megan. And Megan is always giddy and excited about this connection. I don't know whether she's speaking about it because she's excited or whether she's speaking about it because she wants to rub it in Sophie's face. And this is where the problems come in. You had Kieran and Sophie go for a date, and Sophie was saying her parents got divorced, and you know, she didn't get along with her mom for a very long time. This is something she has in common with this man. She says, you know, her mom chose her partner over her, and so she struggled to have a relationship with her. And it's like, I understand people have baggage, I understand people wanting to open up, but why not open up about stuff that has to do with you, that doesn't involve anybody else? Talk about challenges you had at uni. Talk about other challenges outside of you bringing in someone else's baggage into the show, because that lives in eternity as long as Netflix is around. So I don't know why she felt the need to say that, whether she was trying to create a connection with him since she felt she was losing him. She did explain to Kieran that, you know, she was trying to open up, she was trying to be more vulnerable. He appreciated her for that because this is what he's wanted from her all along. It's like, well, it is what it is. We then have our first reveal of Billy and Ashley. Well, Billy is saying he doesn't even know what Ashley looks like. He doesn't know whether she's got blonde hair, brunette hair, whatever. It doesn't matter to him because he is unconcerned, or has fallen in love with the person that he's got to know. Ashley will take anything from Billy. She's willing to sacrifice anything and everything for this man. She's already shown us that. So the idea that there would be anything different, I don't think so. It's just him sort of saying yes or no. Otherwise, she is ready for yes. They had the reveal. It was cute, but it wasn't stand out. I don't think it's the best reveal that I've seen on Loveis Blind, but I could be, you know, biased just because they're not really one of my top couples. I think they're just going through the motions, and at week 4, they're going to say no on wedding day. We then have Demola go on a date with Katisha. I personally don't understand what Katisha wants, because she acknowledges that he's lovely, he's kind, and yet she's got a type, and her type is Javen. So why would she leave someone who's nice, who's kind, who's protective, who's considerate, to go for someone who she knows is not it? Because we can all tell that Javen is not it. Anyway, they had a conversation about their upbringing. You had, you know, Katisha say she left home at 16. Demola reveals that he had 2 siblings and he spent a lot of time with his grandma. He used to go for walks with her. So when she passed away, he was heartbroken and he really cried a lot because he really missed her. And it's like, oh, that's really sweet. And so when you compare that date with the date with Javen, for me, I would have told Javen, that's it, we're done. After that, I would have told Javen, because she then went on a date with Javen, and Javen was sort of asking her about sexual chemistry. He was asking about sexual exploration, how important is that, emotional, and then she sort of brought up emotional connection, and it's like, this man is telling you that he's here for a good time. His words are more or less implying that he's here for a good time. So the idea that you're not picking up what he's putting down, I do not get, and I don't understand what you're missing. This man is not serious about you. He just wants to win you, because to him, this is a game. And yet she continues not to see it. I don't know whether she's doing that purposely or whether she's that naive and she can't pick up what this man is putting down. You then had Kieran go on a date with Megan. He brought her a Japanese ornament. He sprayed his scent on it. You know, he said she gives him good vibes. He's excited. She thinks he's the one. And so she's excited about this ornament because he's already spoken about going to Japan with Sophie. I remember he spoke about that on his date. So the idea that he would give somebody else the ornament that he brought from Japan that's meant for good luck, to me, didn't make sense. Unless he's trying to poke at Sophie and see what reaction he can get, because if you're exploring a connection with someone, if they are saying they're opening up, unless he can see through the hot mess and he knows that she's playing him, I did not get it. Because after their date, you had, you know, Megan go with the ornament. She was excited, she was giddy, she was laughing and joking and telling all the girls that were willing to listen. And then Sophie then went and was speaking to Yolanda about the ornament, and it's like, why does she, if she has a problem, she runs to Yolanda, but if everything is okay, she goes to the other girls? Why? Is it because she thinks Yolanda, this job is there just to be her confidant? Make it make sense? I don't get it. So you had the screams and the squeals, and on his part, Kieran was telling the guys that, oh, I think that's because of me, because I gave her, an ornament. And it's like, he knew what he was doing. Because now Sophie is saying, I'm not anyone's number 2. If he doesn't want me, that's fine. I'm never going to put myself number 2. And it's like, ma'am, you put yourself number 2 the moment you refused to open up, the moment you played hard to get, and he decided to go for someone who was emotionally available and someone who seemed more along his speed. So you have to keep it stepping. So I'm curious to see what happens in episode 3, whether Sophie is going to break up with this man, because we haven't seen anyone else that she's connected with. She was very dismissive to all the other guys outside of Kieran. So I don't know whether she's going to call him out and say, why did you give that gift? It's too personal. I'm not your number 2. Because she already told Yolanda that I'm nobody's number 2. So I can't wait to see what happens there. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 1. Bye guys.